All right, everybody, welcome back to the Delegation Roundtable. I have a very, very special guest and someone who I'm lucky enough to call a friend, and we've been able to do some fun things together. And he has an incredible background, very impressive one as well. And I would say the most connected person that I know. So anybody who is looking to build a network, if you're new in the industry or looking to expand upon what you've already done, pause whatever else you're doing and listen to this and take notes on every word. But without further ado, it's someone who has accomplished a lot inside and outside of his professional life. And I'm really excited to dive all into it. So let's bring on Emanuel Kamau to the podcast. Emmanuel, I know your time is super valuable. You're a very busy guy, so thanks for coming on, dude.
Yeah, of course. That was a killer intro, man. Thank you. And the same goes to you. Yeah. The way that we ended up meeting was last year at Fun Hacking Live, and you were gracious enough to welcome us in for short notice and just connect with me, and it's always been amazing. It's really cool as well to see your journey throughout, not only in business but in life as well. So I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
100%. It's our pleasure, man. And I would love to, for those listeners and watchers who by chance are not familiar with you or your body of work, if you're okay with it, I want to start from the get-go, right? How did you get in as a professional? How did you get your foot in the door in your first company, and kind of give us an overview of who is Emmanuel?
So I'll do like the long story short. I'm originally born and raised in Kenya. This is like my American accent, which always blows people away. How I actually talk is like this. This is how I talk when I'm talking to my mom. But yeah. I just grew up with a family of just entrepreneurs, whether it was like, my mom specifically, she would travel to different countries, buy clothes, bring them back in Kenya and sell them. She had different business meetings. So it was cool like seeing that as a kid. And then we moved to America, and just one thing after another, I always knew wanted to get into business. And where I really stepped into was marketing and just online. And I stepped into his followers, Gaji. Like, I found him when he was 16 years old because I was looking up Steve Cook back in the bodybuilding.com days. And it was
talking about. Yeah.
Exactly, man. Like on the forums, big biceps 22, right? And I saw he had a program called Big Man on Campus, and I was, at the time, like, there's this YouTube thing. So I was like, let me just go to YouTube to see if there's like a tutorial on how to do a certain exercise. And I just happened to search up Steve Cook, and I see Iman did a video with him for like, this is back in his fitness days. So we just started chatting there, and then kind of became friends over there. And then I started a marketing agency because I was basically selling for a local mentor in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I'm making $1,000 a month, which at the time I thought I was like, super, super rich. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, this is so interesting. You're getting paid to do a service, and then you're also seeing the result where people are paying you X amount of dollars and you're giving them a 2-3x return. So after that, it's not funny because I laugh about this with Iman sometimes. I got his program. This is gonna throw you back on like LimeWire, on like back in the day, and then that program helped me out. And then it was officially 2019, 2020 when I was like, you know what, like, I'm making $3 to $5K a month. I've quit my job. So I bought his program, and that just took me to another level where, like, you can watch YouTube, and again, this industry, right? You can watch YouTube, but then when you pay money for a course and then you actually use it, and then I was getting the results, like, that's what really got me in the door.
Dude, I want to say shout out in general just to info, right? Too many people poo-poo on it where it's like, dude, courses changed my life. Like, I don't want anyone to say, I hate when people say stuff's a scam like that, where it's like, did you apply it and study it and, do it till you stop sucking at it? Anyway, that's another rabbit hole for another day. I think you brushed over something that, like, someone like you that is humble would just brush over it. So I'll brag for you. I just looked up Iman Ghazi on YouTube and started chatting with him. That's a massive feat. Did you, like, what type of, let's just say like a hook, did you email them? Like, walk us through that process, because a lot of listeners that we have are looking to seek out mentorship, whether they're starting or looking to scale their existing business, most likely. What was that process like for you?
Yeah, so I mean, I just watched his videos and like just studying and seeing what he was doing. And then I think I found his email on like YouTube, how you could, email someone. Yep. And again, this was like 2016 Iman, so it's not like everyone knew who he was. I was like, hey man, just like, I've been watching your videos. Your Steve Cook phone is really good. Like, I've been using it at the gym. Like, literally, thank you for helping me with this. I know you have like 100 views on it, but just keep going. And then he's like, oh, bro, like, I appreciate it so much. And then we just kind of chatted from there. And then once I joined the program, like, kind of like a little bit fast forward. So this was agency incubator in the beginning of 2020. So it was COVID. I just did the same thing where I was like, hey, I know we chatted back in the day. I've been able to use the program, but like when I contacted him after I joined Agency Incubator, I made a goal to where I wanted to join like the higher level one, which is more like kind of one to one. And but the thing is, I didn't be like, I'm gonna be able to be your best student. It was like, hey, I've been in your program for a month and a half, 2 months. I just went from 3 to 5K per month in revenue to 10K a month. Here's what I'm doing. Like, just keep going. Like, your stuff works. And then he was like, dude, let's get on a call. And then we went from there. I think I was one of his interview, not interview, what's it called? Students in his video, and then like his Iman Gaji Unscripted or Iman Gaji Business, one of those channels. So doing the actual work from the program, and then the person who created it saying, hey, your stuff actually works.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. One of the first guys I had that it even ended up introducing me to Russell Brunson, which is a whole nother story, was that exact thing. Watched their webinar with the existing business that I had, which was selling this workout supplement on Amazon that we white labeled. Again, different story for another day. And we installed, I watched their webinar, was blown away. Like, student first, always bought their stuff, used it, and it worked. And I hit him up on Facebook, just was like, hey, I doubt you'll ever even see this message, but I want to let you know I bought your stuff. It's amazing. I'm using it. It works. And he was like, holy cow, will you come on my podcast? And I'm like, sure. And that struck a relationship that still exists to this day. And it was kind of like of a student first, right? User in the game, eating the dog food. And it kind of, it's a better entry into the door versus like, hey, can I pick your brain? Right. It's like, hey, I'm actually doing this. And it's working.
Well, even like just giving you flowers when you connected us at Funnel Hacking Live, and I know we'll get to that point. Like, this was me stepping into fintech after going from info, but like that connection, like, just took me to another level because you opened the door. And the way I look at it is like you opened up your network, which has taken you years to build, and I'm not going to mess that up. And then now when we ended up getting in contact later throughout the year, when you were telling me what you're up to next, I'm like, hey man, like, first of all, thank you for everything that you did, because here's the result, talking about like 8-9 figure deals just because of you opening that door.
Oh, I appreciate you. Yeah. No, I would do it 100 times over again. That's awesome. And I appreciate you sharing that too. And anyone, the way I view relationships is it's not, I probably say this word wrong. We talk about how I enunciate horribly. It's not like a finite resource, right? There's not only like 100 slices of pie. It's an ever-growing garden that's plentiful, right? So I love sharing everything. And I think I went through, too long, years of like an ego trip of, I don't want to share what I know, because then are they going to be better than me? Then what am I going to do, right? Or like training somebody to do everything that I do, where it's like, yeah, but then you can also still grow and still elevate. And the more doors you open, it is completely like, when you kind of have that mindset, or at least when I adopted it a few years back, it's cool what's able to happen. And nothing is more fun to me than hearing stories like that. Or like, oh, if I never would have came to that event or that mastermind, or I wouldn't know so-and-so, and then it wouldn't have. So, yeah, I love that. Back to your info days, because correct me if I'm wrong, I guess I'm kind of ignorant in this story, so excuse me for that, but we started working for Emad at some point, right? So you became a student, and then, tell us that story.
Yeah, so I always knew that I would work for Emad or work with Emad in some capacity.
Why?
It's delusional optimism.
Yeah.
I've just always had that. Even like moving here from Kenya to America, I had a dream where I felt God showed me like, we'll be wealthy, do everything. And I told my mom, hey, we need to move to America. She was like, why? I was like, God showed me a dream. We'll be wealthy. I'll take care of you, but we have to do it. And then she's like, okay, you get good grades in 3rd grade, and then we'll move. And that's essentially what I ended up doing. So there was always that delusional optimism, and I had it in like my vision boards and everything, but I had to work for it, right? I'm not going to just have something on there. So kept on going to the program. The agency info, combining it, like, that literally changed my life. Like, I was able to, I haven't worked a job, like, your regular, I don't consider what I do even a job. It's fun. Like, I was able to fully retire from that side. And then I helped my mom, like, with different things. Like, my late grandmother, when she wasn't doing well before she had passed away, my mom wanted to go visit her, and I was able to send her, take care of her with like her flights or tickets. She didn't, she didn't work for 2 months. Guess what? I was able to cover like what she would be able to make. So like that, it quite literally changed my life. So I had this conviction to where I was a result of it. Now, then what ended up happening is I ended up getting baptized October 17, 2021. And then I joined. Thank you. I just posted on social media and everything, and then I get invited to this entrepreneur Bible study, and I end up meeting someone who at the time was working with Iman, and then he, long story short, was like, "Hey, Manuel, I'm not trying to poach you, but I am. Quit everything that you're doing and join it." And I was like, "Sweet, let's do it." And I've realized I've had these moments in life where it happens every couple of years, and I can sense it now of like, again, these like two roads open up, and this one I know where it goes, but this one I have no idea where it goes, so I go this way, right? So yeah, ended up joining, and then I got on that meeting when he was introducing Iman and I, and Iman's like, "Oh, I know him. Emmanuel's my boy." And so essentially, I just disbanded my agency, and I was like, "Listen, I want to come on as a closer and just learn." And so I met with everyone, the team, and I was number 10 at Grow Your Agency when Iman had 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. This is in 2020. Like, this is like, you're talking prime info days. And then I scaled from that to, believe it was 4 million subscribers by the end of that year, 150 people on the team. I was managing a team of 50 SDRs. And in terms of like attention, of course, these metrics have changed from now. It's a lot bigger. But at the time, Iman was with all socials, because mind you, this was when like Tate was also getting big, right? With like his clipping. We were taking, I think it was 30 seconds a day of the entire Earth's population. Like, that's the amount of attention that we were garnering. And once I understood that, I'm like, just even fathom that, is incredible.
Yeah. It's Russell would always say, probably still does to this day, like small hinges swing big doors, right? Little tiny tweaks you do here and there that ends up like, whoa, that was a huge growth lever. And what you just mapped out is no easy feat. That's like a 1%er, just like, oh yeah, no big deal. Do you feel like, or I guess from those learnings, what were some of those small hinges that swung so big for you guys, that were the big dominoes that fell for you? Because again, our audience is in growth mode, right? Looking and hitting a bottleneck of needing to delegate to elevate. What were some of the things that you guys did content wise or testing that ended up like being such a huge success lever for you?
So I'd say the first thing is being able to realize what your strengths are and what you need to work on. So Iman, I remember the meeting where he was like, "Guys, I'm going to go all in on content," where I think we were spending like maybe 6 figures a month, like low 6 figures on ads. Like, it wasn't anything crazy, but he's like, "I'm going to go all in on content." And then you're going to feel a little bit of it because there's not that many ads, but then you're going to end up growing. And he did that. And this way he focused strictly on making content, and he was basically getting all that attention for us. And that's when we had the video, what was it, best business model to start in 2022 or 2023. The video, I think, now has over 8 million plus views. And he said this publicly. I mean, that video did millions of dollars for us, to where like I could, it wasn't through sales calls, they were order taking. So like for me, that was interesting to see, wow, like he pivoted because he was able to see where the market was going in 6 years. So it's like where Iman's now, he started this 6 years ago, 4 years ago, 2 years ago. So for me, that was like, that's interesting, where he's not thinking in days, he's thinking in years on what he needs to do.
I want to unpack that because that's brilliant. And even just doubling down on content. So our company, Sphere Rocket, we're kind of in this maybe conundrum right now where we have ad spend and it works, right? Like, I know if I put $1 in, how much we're going to get out, what's that buyback period, what's the conversion rate, our lifetime value and average order up front, right? What our lead cost is, cost per book call, all of those metrics. And business at its essence is just a math problem, right? Really, at the end of the day, I always say the path is math, but doubling down on content does take investment, right? And it's really honestly something I've never actually like gone down. So maybe I'm just playing the role of like the curious reporter. I want to walk through the investment of time and money that took. And I think like, let's say Hermosi maybe kind of did the same thing at the same time, right? Of like taking money and investing it into a content strategy. And he even said that it paid off a lot quicker than he was expecting, because he was expecting to lose money for years, right? Did Iman have that same mindset, or what? Or I guess, you don't have to share everything, but what was that process like of doubling down on content? What does that even mean?
The process was having a team that was expert. Like they all were experts in their own field. So Luis Berger, who is the CMO, Brazilian, and we know Brazilians are some of the best at like marketing. I don't know. I think they're born with a Facebook Ads Manager and a MacBook Pro and a credit card. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
so he is the CMO, and then you have Tristan Kermode, who was the chief content officer, and he was with Iman since the beginning of time. And so they studied everything, but what they did is they didn't study. Yes, they studied the market, like in the info world, but they didn't want to just be in an echo chamber. They were studying niches of like cooking, acting, all these different things online, and then bringing that in terms to YouTube. And when it really started taking off, and to answer your question, is the team started, to take things that were working in other industries and then bring them into this industry to be able to grow it. For example, having these Netflix style episode releases on YouTube to garner attention, essentially like a reverse webinar, and then to be name drop. So November of 2022, the program that we re-released was Digital Renaissance, right? So the whole angle of it were, this was when, time where there was certain disease and all that stuff, and money was, this was like uncertainty, right? And so the whole thing was the Renaissance man back in the day and how they didn't fit into the system. They were just this eclectic, this person who like didn't exist really, but they were able to live life on their own terms, and how we lived in that exact same time right now, but in the digital age. And essentially service-based business being one of the best places that you can be in, that they use that angle to create 4 Netflix episode style videos that essentially all of them were VSLs. Right? And people would register. We spent a lot of money, acquired that database. So we knew everyone's name, first name, email, phone number, Instagram, WhatsApp. They had the offer. And then on the 4th video, we built it up. We dropped the offer that we were doing. We included a one-on-one coach for $1,497. And then, we did millions in 24. Like there was a point in time where, our sales calls were 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Not
so,
even.
Like, they're ready to pay. Yeah.
Oh yeah, not even. And at that time, like if you want to get into like specifics, I had 2 virtual assistants working. One was working morning hour shifts for 12 hours, the other one at night, and then I worked during the day. So during Black Friday, I would take calls from 7 a.m. until 11 p.m. with a 3-hour break. And I personally there was one day I did 100K cash collected in a day off of like a 995 product, because we we brought it down during that time. So for me, that was like, I always go back to that time of like, I learned so many lessons, because doing Iman for about 2 years, when you're seeing $3 million in a day, like that was a regular day for us, you become desensitized to those numbers, but then you know what work goes into them. And you just understand like, okay, this is an SDR team that you're a part of. Yeah.
That's so cool. And even those drops were mainly organic, right? Because the audience built up, it was ready, and then what the call to action in those videos was to in fact register, where you would collect name, email.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, but the thing that was interesting, towards the end of the year, we did like a trip with a couple people to South Africa for a week, like after just working hard.
Oh, cool.
And realizing that you were right, like what you just said. Iman had already planned on that the beginning of the year. So for me, it was interesting because like I'm not like, yes, I do like Instagram stories or whatever, but like YouTube isn't my field of where I am, but I'm always learning and seeing it. But it was such an interesting thing to be like, wow, that's another level of strategy, to where he knew that this was going to happen. But for this to happen, he had to take, it's the whole thing. You have to take 1 step back to take 2 steps forward. But in this case, the whole year, he was just getting attention, giving a lot of value for free, and then immediately dropping something to where people were like, wow, I feel like you guys came out of nowhere. But in reality, that started 10 months ago.
Yeah. Each battle's won or lost before it, began. That whole art of war. That's fantastic.
Yep.
Even back to you, Emmanuel. So all of that, did you jump into fintech? Because I don't want to skip any steps here, because that's that's at the surface, that sounds like, quantum physics. You say fintech, I'm like, it sounds super fancy. But like, that's quite a transition. What led that calling to you?
So yeah, after with Iman, which finishing that chapter, and still close, so still friends with Iman, still text him here and there. I thought he was going to come to my wedding, but he told me he's a change of plans. He's not able to.
Iman, what are you doing, man?
I know, right? Yeah. Charge back. But I learned a lot, especially because like now a lot of the info guys you see, they were our students that were inside that program. So after that, myself and the VP of sales of Iman, who was Iman's very first closer, Max Thompson, half British, half French guy. I mean, you're talking like the ideal you get on a call with him, you're like, dude, just take my card. You know what I mean? Like that's how, when he closed me for the high level program, I was like, man, say whatever you want. Like, I'm going to let you run through the process, but like, I already have my card ready and we're good to go. So what him and I did is that we understood info. So we started doing a sales agency. So we would go into people's businesses, take over their sales and operations and do everything. And we were doing it in a different model, actually. So we didn't charge anything. We just took percentage of what we brought in. So it was strictly you eat what you kill, and people love that. And then after that led to different offers, etc. Then come end of 2024, a friend of ours, Arlen, keeps on texting me. He's like, yo, we need to talk about this like Parker thing, this fintech, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude,
Arlen's base.
Yeah. I'm like, what the heck is this fintech thing? And then he's the type, like you're in that category. There's certain group of people where like if they text or call me, if they call me, I'm picking up like immediately. So he called me and he's like, hey, I'm sitting here with the CEO of Parker. We need to talk about this. And then he broke down the scenario. And then I was like, all right, let's start looking at it. And then that's what led to the first time us meeting in person with Arlen and you see was at Live.
Yeah. That's wild. And so how'd you know Arlen?
So I knew Arlen, again, same exact play, right? I want to say a quote that one of my best friends is my brother that I always say. It's if you give more than you take, you'll receive more than you give. And that's kind of like a thing we always repeat to each other. Arlen, I knew him online because they did a collaboration with Emmanuel.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I need to be friends with this person because like I want to be able to learn from him, but I also need to provide value. He had his Maxi thing for $39 a month. I bought it. I used it. I used to have my own tracker. From using his $39 a month program on like mindset, like social engineering, I was always the top rep at with Iman. And that led me to getting all these different things. And then I was like, you know what? Let me buy his higher level program. Got on a call with his closer, bought it. Ended up doing everything. And then I got on one of Arlen's live calls. And then he's like just talking about some stuff. And I came on, I'm like, hey man, just hey guys, sorry, just driving right now, but just want to say like I've been using your program and here's where I am. It's been like 3-4 months. Like, guys, if you don't think it works, like it works, just put in the work. And then he just texted me after. He's like, bro, what the heck? You just came on and dropped a banger and then left 5 minutes early. And then he's like, yo, what's your Instagram? And then we just became homies from there. And then now, like,
very cool.
He's one of my brothers.
Yeah, there's a common theme of some funny stories that we both have shared here of just be in the arena, right? Buy the course. Don't knock off anything. Like there's so much more that comes from. And there's another one, my buddy. So I'm now lucky enough to call a friend, but shout out Ryan Clogg, who has just done nothing but buy info. Like he's bought everything. He's like, if they've launched it, I've bought it. He's like, I'm the easiest sell in the entire world. And I have, binders of Dan Kennedy stuff, just like, and I remember the first magnetic marketing bundle that I bought that came with CD-ROMs. I'm giving away my age, but like, I don't even know how they still do it now to this day, but my BB&T bank card, which I don't even think BB&T is a bank anymore. I had $1,000 limit on my credit card, and the course was $997, and I bought it. And I'm like, I'll end up paying it off like at some point. It's no big deal, right? I'm not going to get bankrupt over $1,000. Got it, and I remember like taking off work for like a long lunch. It arrived. I'm ripping it open, but it's just like, I don't know. It's like Christmas. I love when I get stuff that I pay for because you'll use it, right? Those that pay attention. So I commend you on that, and probably haven't stopped. So I want to like circle back to that at some point. And getting connected with Arlen when you and I started talking, getting into fintech and Parker. That's, maybe I just speak selfishly. It seems like a complicated business. Like I understand it, but I also feel like I don't. If anyone else feels like that's watching, explain to us like what that means, what fintech means, what you guys are doing.
Fintech is financial technology, right? So if you look at Revolut, if you look at a Wise, if you look at a Mercury, it's essentially a company that has a company that's found a problem in the market, and then they are fixing that problem through financial technology. So Wise fixed that with international payments, being able to send payments internationally, right? So, if you have your virtual assistant team members,
we use Wise. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So you can be able to do that. So Parker specifically, and no touch on that. Unfortunately, not there anymore. But with Parker specifically, we're working with e-commerce businesses on being able to help them with, I always say 3 different problems, right? You have a business owner, and at any point in time, tell me if you need me to stop to pause for anything. You have a business owner who wants to get a higher credit line, but your traditional bank, when they look at an e-commerce business or even an info business, they look at it as like this business doesn't make sense because it's not your, you know, your laundromat, right? That's problem number one. And then problem number two, you have a credit card and then you're trying to decide, you want to be able to pay for ads, but then you're having to pay this gigantic bill at the end of the month. So you're going up and then down in terms of bank balance. And then from there, you're just trying to like understand the third pillar is, do I give Zuck more money for Meta or do I buy more inventory? Kind of like the chicken or the egg. So what Parker saw is that we had this net 60 card and net 60 terms to where, simply put, you spend money today, you can choose to pay it back 7 days later, 15 days later, 30, 45, or up to 60.
Huge.
That's it.
Because cash flow is always a moving number, right? That you have to maintain a healthy balance and capital allocation, all that stuff. But that's huge. Yeah.
And I would even say I was bad at math in school. Like I think I got the highest grade I ever got was like a C or D. No, C actually. This is before they had the 10-point grading scale. These kids are lucky nowadays, and I feel old saying that. I had a 7-point grading scale, you know. So like math for me was not. But the thing was, it was math that I was learning, and I was never like a rude kid in high school. Like I would just sit there sometimes, and I'm like, am I ever gonna go to the grocery store and like y equals mx plus b to get a banana? You know, like to me mentally it didn't make sense. I'm like, this is, and I credit this to like, I guess partially also being from Africa, but also like the way my mom taught me on like reality, on like seeing how she did business and how she would always be like, hey, think for yourself, right? Napoleon Hill, Outwitting the Devil, personally one of my favorite books.
So
like
good.
Being able to think for yourself. At the time, I realized that I thought I was the one. Like I thought it was me, you know, I was the problem. But then now it's interesting because like what I do with even with Flex, like I'm dealing with millions of dollars every single day. So sometimes I just laugh when I'm sitting there. Yeah.
It's I'm actually why not just bring it up? Because I want to keep talking about Parker and now Flex too. But you mentioned Napoleon Hill. Outwitting the Devil is something there's 2 books I reread every year. That's one of them. And I actually haven't read it this year. Guilty. So I need to get on that. But talks about with the devil occupying the mind of, I think it is like 97, 98% of walking, you know, they say men, but they mean, you know, encompassing everybody. But what one thing that could repel that is always having a definite purpose. So what's your definite purpose?
My definite purpose, I strongly believe that my purpose, and it's taken me 29 years to get this point, is that my definite purpose is to be able to help people achieve their goals and also be the better person that, whether that's with work, the clients that I talk to, like my clients are friends. I don't consider them as like clients, or I know you follow me on social media with my run club, Oak City Run Club, like how it's a nonprofit. I mean, there's a couple that one of the guys is gonna end up proposing this year, and they met at the, you know what I mean? Like it's like I know that like, yes, there's things that I want to accomplish or maybe things I want to get, whatever, but it's like I've realized I was put on this earth to build and to be able to help people. And at the end of the day, like that quote that I mentioned, if you give more than you take, you'll receive more than you give. It always ends up coming back to me, but that's not why I'm doing it. Like I genuinely love being able to help people, and then seeing, I know you're the same way. Like, you know, when you put 2 people together and then you just, we used to call it aid and fade at the YMCA. Like you put 2 people together and then you fade away and you just see it like explode.
Yeah. I've never heard that saying too. That's super cool. And even of, God, how do I say this without sounding dumb or just like sounding like an idiot? But it's like, I'm not very transactional of like, even if something comes together and it's a deal, I don't want a cut. Like that's not
what you did it.
And I think it's gotten me to a point where now, like I'm not afraid to ask whether it's a favor or something I'm looking to accomplish or need help with, because I'm always looking to give more than I receive. But I think for years I was always just trying to like be that guy, but then I was always left, you know, by myself like, but it's like, it's okay to ask for help, right? I had a boss that told me the secret to getting something is just asking for it, right? Like when I married my wife, I asked her if she wanted to marry me.
Exactly.
Just like happened one day of just kind of like getting after, which goes back to having a definite purpose, right? I think that's like, if like, I think Les Brown says, like, we live in a negative world and your brain will naturally program itself negatively if you're not doing something proactive, feeding it positively, having that definite purpose of, those blinders on for where you want to go. And I mean, that's why racehorses wear blinders, right? They look left or right, they'll trip, right? It's like, having like your definite purpose as a human. So I do, that was vulnerable too. I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Yeah.
And with, Parker, which was a fintech conglomerate, and we can brush over this, but essentially now ceased to exist. How was that story? I guess, like, again, it's not a Hulu like drama series.
Yeah,
but
it's there. It's like those Netflix documentary. My name's Emmanuel. This is my story. Man, Parker was another moment to where I saw the fork in the road. Right. And this was like the fourth or fifth time, not more than that. Like, this was just a number of time in life where I saw the fork in the road and I realized that I'm like, wait a second, like, it's happening again. Right. I feel like it's something like nerds right here. Avengers Endgame towards the end when Doctor Strange looks at Tony Stark and just holds up the one. And that's like, I always go back to that moment where Max and I, we were working with info businesses and, things were working well. And then it was like the end of 2024. Like, it was literally a week before, like, Arlen called me, right? And regardless of whatever you believe in, a tree, the rock, whatever, it's like you have to speak things into existence. And like, I have a tendency to do that on purpose, where like I'll just say things out loud of like, hey, like whatever is coming, of course, putting the work into it. And I'm like, Max, I don't know what it is we're going to do in 2025. It's going to be big, but it's not going to be anything that we've done before. We're going to be extremely uncomfortable. Like, we're going to be like stretched. And then immediately, a week after, Arlen calls me. So with Parker, I just learned real business. I mean, the company was based in New York. The CEO, Yassine, again, lived there, and he's one of the best CEOs I've ever worked with, because like, when you talk about the game, like Simon Sinek, Infinite Game, he just loves the game, right? Like, he loves the game. He doesn't care about like the acknowledgments or whatever. He just loves to win, loves the game. And these little, like, going to Vegas. I was coming off of a ski trip with a group of our friends, and he called me. He's like, "Hey, there's a conference happening this week." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I think we should go to it." I was like, "Okay." Then he paused and like, "Your hotels and flights have been booked." And I was like, "When do I leave?" "Tomorrow." And I was like, again, all right, let's play ball. So, started working with that, and like, that was like fintech. You're like, wow, you're dealing with like, again, I've seen these numbers before, but it's like, oh, I'm dealing with brands that I'm using in my house, in like at the grocery store. And then he just called me one day. He's like, dude, Emmanuel.
Huge brands.
Huge brands. I mean, yeah, like, you're talking multi-million. I mean, you're Javi Coffee. You're talking about True Classic, these big, gigantic brands. And I think, did I send you some? What did I send you, Javi? I sent you some coffee.
No, I still have it. I use it all the time. Actually, after this episode, I have some here. Literally in our kitchen, I promise you.
Yeah.
Because it showed up and you're like, hey, Everyday Dose.
Yes,
the brand
Everyday Dose, that's what it was. Yeah.
I was like, I love Everyday Dose. And because I used to be a coffee drinker, I still obviously have caffeine, but it's not like jittery or whatever. And I would always have some in the afternoon. You're like, yeah, I'll give you some. I didn't know you were going to give me like a ton. So it came, and I still to this day still have a few left, but that's a total aside. And I appreciate that. Anyhow, as you were, sorry.
Just started doing those companies, and then Yassine was like, hey man, move to New York. And I'm like, oh, okay, like, girlfriend at the time, she's now fiance, like, whatever. He's like, dude, just trust me, give me like a year of you being in New York. Like, you are going to be extremely uncomfortable, but you are going to grow. And I was like, all right, like, I just have to come home on the weekends, like, just, church, whatever. He's like, all right, done. And I remember the first time I was there for like 2 months, and I mean, New York, right? Where dreams are made of, like, it's freaking New York City. I mean, right? So many songs, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. And it's true. Like, just stepping into the arena again. And
I didn't know you lived there.
Yeah, I lived there. Yeah. It was interesting. I lived there. I was basically in New York Monday morning, because I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, and a flight from RDU, our airport, to LaGuardia is exactly like an hour and 15 minutes. So I was in New York Monday to Friday morning, and then I'd be in North Carolina Friday morning until Monday morning for about a year. And then if I wasn't there, I was in a different country or a different state every other week. And you're talking like, you're trying to take a relationship seriously. You're trying you're building a community, your family, you're like, all these things are happening. But like, again, to me, it was like, all right, God just put me into this opportunity. The worst thing I can do is reject it. And now I look back, I'm like, everything that I did day by day by day, minute by minute, is paying off right now 10x 100-fold. I mean, I'm meeting people, like there's a person I'm meeting with later today at 1 that I knew and heard of 6 years ago. But then because of what I did 6 years ago, he's like, oh, bro, I know exactly who you are. I just never met. And you know what I mean? Like those things where I've just been, maybe this is where you're about to turn 30. I'll turn 30 next April. And I was like, I've been talking to my fiance lately. I'm like, what if I quit? Like, sorry, what if I did quit last year? Like, I just always think about that. So I don't know if that answers your question, but those like the thoughts that always run through my head.
Totally. And you're an individual. It's very sound and like serendipitous. And I'm the same way too. Mm-hmm. Like even like thoughts or spells too. It's like, I talk out loud, like probably too much, but even like by myself, it's kind of weird, but I tell people that and they're like, okay. I'm like, you do too. Don't lie. But
exactly.
I do it all the time, man. And it's, intuition, energy is real. Like all of that stuff that's put out into the universe. There's something that just happens, right? When your intention and have that definite purpose, like unforeseen doors that just start to open, and you're like, if I wouldn't have taken the 5 seconds of insane courage for that first step, like no way this would be happening right now.
No, it's true. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. Like when I came to Vegas, I was on the plane. We created a little framework sales script with Max about talking to people, and I was like, dude, Max, I don't know if I can do this. Like this is stressful. He's like, Emmanuel, shut the F up, dude. Like you've done sales. You know how to do it. It's easy. You worked with kids for 8.5 years, and it's like you are literally the best at it. And it's like, just talk to people. And at the time, I didn't know terms. I didn't know this. I didn't know, especially in fintech, up to versus this and whatever. But again, step into the arena. Like, that's all you have to do.
Yeah. Even with, unforeseen circumstances happening, Parker having to pivot and ultimately, kind of shut its doors. If anyone's curious, I'm sure you can Google it. I'm sure you probably, I feel like you're a 5-star recruit, and with all the hats on the table, if you're like, picking your next destination, what was that process like for you of like, probably taking a breath of like, that was interesting. Here I'm at now. What am I going to do next? Like, was that scary? Like what happened?
Yeah, it was like when everything happened, I always relate it to, I'll go back to Simon Sinek, The Infinite Game. Great, one of my favorite books. Essentially, you have a finite game, right? Known players, known rules, one person wins, one person loses. FIFA, the World Cup happening. But then you have the infinite game. There are no known players. There are no known rules. No one wins. The only way you win is if you keep going. The ultimate, what's a ultimate infinite game? Relationships. You and your wife, no one really wins. The only way you win the game of that relationship is if you keep going. So when that ended with Parker, it wasn't like we lost. It was just the game stopped. Yeah. And you couldn't continue it. It's like in the red ring of death on Xbox or PlayStation. Yeah. And when everything was happening, I took 2 hours just to walk, 2.5 hours, just walked around.
Love that.
And I was like, there was a moment of like doubt trying to creep in. And I remember my pastor was always like, just anytime doubt comes in your head, it's just the devil just trying to like get in your head. But in reality, like the devil can't really do anything. Like that little doubt voice is just a voice, right? It's what's the movie with Will Smith and his son where he talks about fear is something that like cannot happen and it has not happened. It's like, it's only in your head. So after 2 hours just walking around, and I was like, okay, what's the worst that can happen? I'm alive. Everyone's alive. No one's dead. Let's just see what happens. So just started helping clients or, old clients, whatever they needed. And then again, because of everything that happened in those 6 years to then like the 4 years and then to the year and a half of being with Parker, I had 15 offers in 48 hours from like Stripe to Snapchat to these different companies. And then Flex was really the only competitor that we looked at when we were there, but we were always respectful with each other. We came to their events, they came to ours, we never poached. And, getting the blessing from Yassine, the CEO of Parker, he was like, dude, just go there. He's like, that's where you need to be. And then I've been there ever since, and it's been incredible.
Yeah. And for anybody who is by chance unfamiliar with Flex, it's a unicorn, right? Now a massive valuation, really doing some incredible things that we are looking at as well as a company for client perspective for anyone watching and curious. So tell us about what it is. What are the advantages that it's now giving, frustrated business owners globally?
So we look at it like this. One, what we are is we bring private banking to your everyday business owner, right? Finance sucks. Finance sucks. However you want to be able to say it. It's boring. It's nerdy. No one knows what it is. And essentially, we want to, and we are simplifying it. So if you look at these big companies, your Brex and Ramp, they're doing a great job. They're going after these gigantic logos, your Nvidias, your Ubers, your Lyft, etc. But then we have this market that we call, they're big and small. So we call them jumbo shrimps, right? So there's 2 million ARR, even starting off all the way to 100 millions ARR. And we believe that our tagline is that we fuel ambition, and we're able to go from when someone is starting a business, hopefully to all the way to where they're able to sell their business. So through our different products, right? Through our banking that you're able to have it set up your banking. We have a great debit card. We use Visa, which is great because it gives you access to lounges, to now our credit, right? So when you're coming throughout our process, our underwriting is, you're attaching your business accounts, your accounting, and then we're able to give you a credit line. And then the great thing that we have in our USP is our net 60 card. So I know your listeners are spending money on ads. You're having to pay off your Amex at the end of every month, or invoicing now if you've been switched. So essentially, our card, you can push back every transaction by up to 60 days with 0% interest. And that's not like a marketing gimmick. You spend $1,000 today, you pay back 60 days later. And then we call that its float. And the term is negative cash flow conversion. So imagine, as an info, if you know your cash flow conversion cycle is 2 days, but you can spend $1,000 today, pay back in 60 days, make your money in 3 days. Now you have that cash there that you can take and deploy somewhere else if you want to.
Totally. And grow faster.
Exactly. Yeah.
So my online marketing brain, because I don't represent the total market, and again, my opinion is probably the least one that matters. It's everybody else. But I always think like ad spend, right? Of something that's like popular for something that would be under the terms of net 60, which I know that it is, right? It's probably the most popular category of spend of Flex users. What are some other ideas to plan, and maybe, listeners or watchers, viewers here, what are some other ways they could deploy like a net 60 strategy for their business?
So I would say for net 60 strategy, ads would be the first place to be able to start. So being able to push that back, because then when you're pushing every transaction back by 60 days, you create that gap where you can use the cash, where one, you're keeping more cash, and it's kind of like you're having a revolving debt that you're able to push back, but you're able to use that cash to deploy anywhere else. And then if you tag that on along with our other products that we're able to have, one being Flex Capital. So think about it like an MCA without it, costing you like your whatever, big terms or whatever it is. You're able to use that capital based off the cash that you have, we're able to give to you. Or if you're talking with people where, let's just say you have ACH wires that you need to pay off for inventory, for whatever type of purchases, you can be able to use that same credit line that we give you and then extend it up to 60 days with a small fee. So one thing I always tell people is that we're actually not primarily e-com. We are service-based business. That's where we actually started off, construction companies. So your dental practices, your construction, your, these businesses where you're having to buy inventory and you're getting paid net 60. Imagine if you could also match that with your terms. And then now that we talked about it, we're also stepping into the consumer side and being able to help on there, which is going to be amazing and fun.
And that's essentially like a personal line, correct? Like we've looked at business as well, but tell us about like even me using this personally, or my wife, for example, right? Like how could she use it in her day-to-day life?
So if you look at it, business and personal gets commingled, right? You might have someone who spends $10 million to pay off for inventory, and then they might be staying at a Four Seasons somewhere on their personal. So why is everything separated when one should help the other? So with Flex Elite, on the personal side, is if you're using us on the business, Flex Elite is what you can use on personal. So giving your wife a card, giving your house manager a card that you can only spend on for groceries or whatever, but then you're actually able to get remunerated or paid back on that spend. So what we're going to be doing is you'll be able to get up to 5% cash back on all personal spend, and then even up to 10% cash back on bookings. And how we're able to do that, because everyone's like, dude, Emmanuel, how can you guys be able to do that?
10% cash back
on bookings. Essentially, what we're giving you is the amount of money that we would make, we're just giving it back to you. And that's amazing, to where now if you're spending, let's just say you're spending $300,000 a year on bookings and you're getting 10% of that back to you, what can you do with that $30,000?
Right. Grow.
Like you can take that, put it back into your business if you really want to.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. And it's at least it's a good opportunity switch. I guess it's, in my opinion, it's great for both markets of someone who is starting, right? One, to develop a relationship with the platform, but to use those cash back advantages to your advantage. Or if you're already spending that money, just deploy it in a smarter way, right?
Exactly.
It is completely good for both people. Dude, that's sweet. And for anyone who is watching, we'll get more from Emmanuel in a second, but go to flex.one, check it out, and look at all the cool stuff that they have. For our audience, give them an insight into you as a person, right? We kind of diving down like a huge professional rabbit hole, but if you're not working, where can we find you on any given day? What are you up to?
I guess Instagram, Emanuel Kamau there. That'll be good. For every day, I'm usually I'm not a dad, not anywhere close to being a dad, but I call it dad hours. So I'm usually up at like 5 a.m. It sucks, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. So I wake up at 5. You get this as well since you work with international people. So, when I wake up at 5, I'll text some international friends, whatever it is. And then, I talk about Christianity a lot. I'm not a perfect Christian by any means, but I learned this. Wow, who is a mentor of mine? I just try to read a chapter of Proverbs. And it's actually an interesting thing. If you read a chapter of Proverbs according to the date of the day, it's weird. Like if you read in the beginning of the day, your day kind of goes with that, what you just saw from there. And it's something that I try to do, when I'm doing there. But I'll read 10 pages a day. Right now, I'm reading the Motive by Patrick Lencioni, which is good. And train at the gym. Try to get that done, and then work, and then try to get some outside steps in, so like a 45-minute walk, and then spend some time. To me, my day is if I've trained, exercised, if I've helped someone that's not work related, right? If I've met someone new or had a new conversation with someone that I didn't know prior to, and then of course spend time with my loved ones and work. Like for me, like I've won. Like you talk about like what's your dream day? That's my dream day.
Yeah, I agree completely. Even like looking to wait till you have kids. I like over the last year, it's just like I think I've aged 10 in the last like year. It's like to get more sleep again. I even I used to work out like a lot. I mean, like, whatever. Never like a bodybuilder. Just enjoyed lifting weights. And over the last year, just like stopped. Like just with everything, like we're moving, like new job, a baby and everything. And I put a gym in my house because I'm like, there is no excuse. It's sitting like right here, get back into the routine. So I've had a good like month or two, but just with traveling and stuff, maybe I need to pick up like running or at least just walking,
just
like
walking.
45 minutes a day. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It's I know it's like cliche or whatever, but I feel like it does make a huge difference. Just like touching some grass, man. It's great.
Yeah. Like you just get the hardest part of your day done. So like, even I'm here at the beach with family for the weekend, still working. And it's like, being able to work remote, and it's like, all right, like can't really complain about that. And at the same time, it's like, as long as I've done like it's funny because my fiance will make fun of me. Like if we were somewhere and like I haven't trained that day, like I turn into like an ad, like I'll be twitchy. Like I'll just
in the corner.
Yes. No, I have so much. It's like an energizer bunny. Like I'll be moving and she's like, you need to go like train, just go away for like an hour and then come back. And I'm like, all right, I'm good. But for me, that's it. And then like now, like there's a run club that I started 2 years ago just because trying to get some friends together and run. And then that's grown into an average Saturday. It's grown. An average Saturday is 150 to 200 people. We just had our 2-year anniversary, June 27th, and we had 500 people.
Holy cow.
And it's a nonprofit because I did it. I was like, it's not about the money. And we worked with Red Bull, Lululemon, all these big brands. But for me, that's been cool where it's like, wow, people like, again, this is happening because I've also met people from 10 years ago who are there now. Kids who were campers when I was at the YMCA, they've graduated and they're there now. Yesterday, we were talking to a loan guy at a local bank, and we're sitting there talking, and he's like, Emmanuel? I'm like, Vontae? He's like, dang, bro. Like, it's just that small world. And he's like, bro, like, I just came to Run Club, man. It was fun. And I was just, like, again, being able to help someone do that, for me, like, people ask, like, how's life? Like, I'm fulfilled.
Yeah, dude, that's inspiring. That's so cool. No, it's like pushing me into gear of like, all right, getting involved outside of work. I am most guilty of anyone. I just get sucked in here, right? Sucked in behind your computer where it's like, even, it's almost kind of counterproductive in a way, right? Of like, doing whether it's run clubs, outside, having more hobbies outside of work. I'm kind of bit by the golf bug right now, but just taking other areas, right, of interest is helpful for your professional life as well.
Exactly.
So anyway, dude, I know time is tight. We both got to bounce. I appreciate you, man. You're inspiring. Honor to call you a friend. And thank you for sharing so much knowledge, experience, and insight with our community.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.